This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our exclusive multi-state cannabis operator sponsor, Curaleaf, one of the nation's top vertically integrated medical and wellness cannabis operators. With 53 local dispensaries, 15 cultivation sites, and 24 processing facilities operating in 17 states. You can learn more about Curaleaf over at curaleaf.com with Curaleaf spelled C-U-R-A-L-E-A-F. That's curaleaf.com. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Monday, April 13th, 2020, and you're tuned in to episode 914 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. We start the news week off up here in my corner of the country here in Maine as Eric Gunderson, director of the state's Office of Marijuana Policy, announced on Friday that the planned rollout of legal adult use sales planned for right about now is being postponed due to the coronavirus pandemic. Maine voters passed adult use legalization back in 2016, but because of terrible governance by former Republican Governor Paul LePage, it's taken 4 years to actually open up adult use stores. And now, because of the criminally terrible governance of Republican trash President Donald Trump, it might just take another 4. No timeline has been given yet for when things might open up on all counts. Yesterday, Virginia Governor Ralph Northam signed into law legislation that removes the criminal penalties for possessing up to an ounce of marijuana. The legislation replaces a maximum fine of $500, up to 30 days in jail, and a proper criminal record with a $25 ticket and no criminal record. This is the legislation that we covered earlier this year that was criticized by some activists, most prominently the Virginia chapter of the ACLU, for not being progressive enough about drug policy reform. While there's certainly a valid argument to be made there, it's also nice on a pragmatic level to just take this one as a win. Kyle Yeager has more on this over at Marijuana Moment. With this second headline in today's top 3, Kyle picked up on statements made by Colorado Congressional Representative Earl Perlmutter regarding the support by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi of a provision in a coronavirus stimulus package being worked on right now that would allow state legal marijuana businesses access to government support in the face of the nation's closing. Right now, all legal cannabis industry businesses, outside those that deal strictly in industrial hemp, are barred from applying to programs like the Paycheck Protection Program. That exclusion has obviously led to a lot of lobbying and justified outrage from legal cannabis businesses. It's another good story to read in full. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz on in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Curaleaf, one of the nation's top multi-state cannabis operators with 53 local dispensaries, 15 cultivation sites, and 24 processing facilities operating in 17 states. Curaleaf has thankfully been designated a necessary service in all the states it's active in, which you can learn more about over at curaleaf.com, where the company has a full page set up with all the steps being taken to respond to the coronavirus pandemic, as well as a state-by-state listing of shop-specific information. And while you're there, you should take some time to read more about the Veterans Cannabis Project, which Curaleaf supports with in-store displays, as well as specially packaged pre-rolls available in select shops, where part of each purchase goes directly to supporting the Veterans Cannabis Project's work to expand medical cannabis access by military veteran patients. That very worthy organization can be found over at vetscp.org. That's VETSCP.org. Big thanks to everyone at Curaleaf for the support that helps us keep our news lights on. All right, time for the Blitz. Bloomberg News takes a look at an analysis run over at Marijuana Business Daily, finding that out of 33 large cannabis firms tracked by its analysts, 8 of them don't have enough cash on hand to survive the next 11 months. As equity analyst Craig Benke put it, quote, "It's going to be an extinction-level event for some companies," unquote. This is a good storyline in general to track, especially if you do any kind of business in cannabis stocks. Ohio's medical marijuana industry had a record-setting month in March, pulling in just under $13 million in sales for the month as panic buying driven by the pandemic drove up sales tickets. Medical shops in Ohio have been deemed essential operations, so it will be informative to see how this month's sales follow. The Fresh Toast has a good piece up that you should open up in full that looks at the decline in the number of mergers and acquisitions within the legal marijuana industry, with last year seeing at least 290 deals done, while for the first 3 months of this year, there have been just 20. Legal cannabis was battered last year by the collapse of the capital markets, with the coronavirus pandemic providing a quick follow-up punch. Alaska's Marijuana Control Board is expected to vote this week on a proposal put forth last week that would allow the state's medical and adult use shops to sell to their customers via curbside pickup as a way to cut down on the chances of transmitting the coronavirus. The common sense measure was opposed by James Halsher, the top cop serving on the Alcohol and Marijuana Control Office, who is afraid that curbside bud tenders might not be able to see if there are kids in the car or if drivers are intoxicated. Seriously, that's an actual concern that someone has right now, or purports to. In the middle of a global health pandemic, James Halsher is pulling a what about the kids? That guy sucks. With a rare headline not tied to the coronavirus pandemic, we have Ben Adlin over at Marijuana Moment, who highlights a study conducted by researchers at Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine that suggests that marijuana is effective in helping people ease the symptoms of opioid withdrawal. The small study asked 200 people with past month opioid and cannabis use about how much cannabis consumption affects the negative effects of opioid withdrawal, and found that of the 125 who actively use cannabis medicinally for withdrawal symptoms, 72% said it made things better, with just 6.4% saying it made things worse. Add this to the growing pile of studies that supports the idea that medical marijuana is effective at helping people use less opioids. Snapping back to the realities of the world outside, we have news that the state of Connecticut's lawmakers are, more or less, throwing in the towel on the idea of passing legislation during their regular session this year, as currently their official pandemic closing runs through April 23rd, though the general expectation is that it will be extended, as Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont has ordered schools and non-essential businesses closed until at least May 20th. The state could hold a special session to address legislative concerns later this year, but it's not likely that marijuana reform, which was planned pre-coronavirus, will make the agenda. And finally for today, we have news that High Times CEO Stormy Simon is running as a Democrat for a seat in Utah's State House of Representatives. I admit this one caught my eye today, as it seems like maybe not the best optics for High Times Holdings, given how terrible it is doing right now as a business. Even so, best of luck. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Cureleaf, and to our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the Patreon listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today. Today.
One take, Shay. One take.